It is 6:47 right now, and we want to talk some top issues with Mayor Gina Ortiz Jones right now.
Yeah, she joins us live in the studio. Now I want to talk about the SNAP benefits thing. We had some movement over the weekend with Supreme Court and Appellate Court in Boston, and then the program you help raise money here to hand out the cards and all. Where do we stand right now with things?
Well, I mean, we're still waiting for the federal government to actually make sure there's a plan.
Right.
At the end of the day, though, if there's not food on the table, we still got to help folks. So very proud, again, of the $1.6 million that was pledged from our community. And I was fortunate to be able to pass out some of those cards last week to some seniors. Actually, went to a couple of sites. And it's not lost on me that tomorrow was Veterans Day. And some of the folks that I gave cards to were veterans. Right. So when we think about this short-sightedness, this shutdown of the federal government, the longest in our country's history, a waste of time, a waste of resources, it has unfortunately fallen to the most vulnerable.
What was their reaction when you handed them those cards?
Well, they're very thankful. I mean, folks that are on SNAP, right, they're month to month. For some reason, there may be an issue as to why they cannot work. And again, we're talking about seniors, right? We're talking about, I know others also involved with the Head Start program, right? So young parents with kids. So again, we've got to make sure that everybody in our community is taken care of, and I'm really thankful again for the way in which the community has stepped up. I'm thankful as well for the city staff that has helped distribute those cards.
Hey, and we just got that research that was done about the flooding that happened 5 months ago. Terrible. We lost 13 people. What is this holistic approach that you mentioned that you want to see take place? Can you give us any details?
Yeah, so the Kleinfelder report really laid out for us what happened on June 13th, and I'm thankful, the city staff, they called for that independent report to be done soon after the flood. So it was very good that we got all the timely information, and then we have a really good snapshot of what happened that day. And honestly, the amount of rain that fell in that day, there were going to be few things that would have prevented, unfortunately, the loss of 13 of our neighbors. So we have a good idea of what happened that day. I think we have some good next steps moving forward. And let me also just say, in the FY26 budget, the money that we allotted, that's only to repair the damage that was done on June 13th. So if we fixed all of that and we had that same rain again, we'd see that same level of damage, right? So the holistic look that I've asked the city staff to do is not only, do we have to think about what happened in the Beitel Creek area, we also know there's still 14 projects on our state's flood mitigation plan, 14 projects as currently scoped worth $411 million, right? We also know there's tons of projects, I'm sure you know many of potentially your own neighbors, that will talk about the flooding that happens in their own communities when a little bit of rain falls. 300 Channing Street, I can't forget this. I remember this woman distinctly that came to a District 3 town hall and talked about it. I went to go see it for myself, and it's an issue when it comes to property values, right? When rain is too high, almost to your front door, but it's also, of course, a public safety issue. And so we've got to make sure that we are looking at those flood projects that are public safety issues. So that holistic look that I've asked the staff to do is, one, the big projects that we know are on the state's plan. We know there's a lot of projects also that weren't at that time that was called for, that weren't quite ready to be said they were projects, so we know there's that bucket. We also know fire department folks, when it rains a little bit, they know exactly where they're going to have to respond to, so there's that piece of it, as well as, again, how are we identifying and calling from our own neighbors about those projects. So there's a lot. My thing really, Audrey, though, is to make sure that, one, we get a good understanding of all the projects in our community, and then, as importantly, we have to communicate to folks, hey, here's our prioritization list based on how much money we have, right? This could come from the bond, it could come from the stormwater fee, but I want to make sure people know the projects we're going after, the reason we're going after them in that priority, and how much we're going to be able to spend, especially as the upcoming bond is coming up.
But we have to move on those quickly.
Of course.
Because that water,
Barry,
when
always.
it comes quickly.
Yes, Barry, always.
How long does that take to get moving on the projects?
Well, it depends on the project. I mean, as you know, not all projects are the same, right? So some projects, that 300 Channing Street one, that affected probably 6 or 7 homes, they've identified money out of the 2022 bond rather, to fix that. But some of these other major projects, for example, that are on the state's flood plan, some of those projects are upwards of $100 million. So again, this is really a place, and this is why I want the holistic look now, is let's get our ducks in the row so that when it's time for the ledge session at the state, if there's resources for this, we can say, hey, here's our list. This is how much it's going to cost, and we need some help. Yep.
All right, I want to talk to you about the airport situation going on there, all the delays and everything.
Yeah.
San Antonio International hasn't been, horribly affected yet. Have you spoken with Houston or the mayor of Houston or Dallas about what they're doing, if they can do anything?
Well, they really can't do anything.
Right.
I mean, it's really TSA workers. And so to your point, while San Antonio might not be directly impacted, as we know, there's not a lot of direct flights from San Antonio. So we always have to connect through Dallas or Houston. So our travelers are in fact impacted. Again, the fact that TSA workers, air traffic controllers, these folks are showing up to work, keeping us safe and not getting paid. It is shameful on those federal folks that have allowed this to happen.
Hey, and we want to go back to Project Marvel. You said in August that you were still thinking about pushing for a public vote on the downtown Spurs Arena at the city level and maybe having an outside review. Are you still thinking about pushing for that?
We absolutely still need an independent review. We still need an independent analysis of the viability of some of these projects, the cost of them as well. All of that is going to be helpful as we continue to negotiate with the Spurs. Again, we're a long way from being done. There's many project agreements that need to be finalized to include a really strong community benefits agreement. So we need all of that because again, it's not just the arena. We've got to think there's the convention center, there's the renovations to the Alamo Dome, right? So we need analysis, we need data that helps us understand how we should lay our chips, right? And what is the highest ROI? Because this is again a generational investment, and I think it's important we not only think about that area. When I'm thinking about downtown, to revitalize downtown, I'm thinking, to me, that includes the baseball stadium now, right? Baseball stadium, proposed basketball arena, and then certainly what happens on the east side.
They, real quick, want to put up this picture. You were with the Marines.
Yeah.
The oldest and the youngest Marine
That's
we have, I
right.
think. There we
Yeah,
go.
that's right.
Real quick, where was this? What was this?
So yesterday evening, and that's Monica on the far right. She's the first female commander of VFW,
Yep,
Post
met her the other
76.
day.
Wow.
And the Marine Corps, their tradition is they always give a piece of cake to the eldest Marine. So that's Hector there, and then the youngest Marine. That poor guy, they made him do push-ups last night.
Oh, wow.
Before his cake. But look, as a proud veteran myself, and this is a big one for the Marine Corps, 250 years
giving us
old.
a hard rap.
All right. Happy birthday,
Sorry.
Devil Dogs, and
Yeah.
happy Veterans Day to my fellow veterans.
We'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.